I cannot urge you strongly enough to follow a few steps along the way to realize what President Trump is talking about when he's saying this is not valid. This is not a valid impeachment inquiry. We're not playing this game. To start with, the Democrats, as soon as they, when President Trump won in 2016, he had a majority of Republicans in the House and the Senate, had the 2018 midterms, and the Democrats took over the U.S. House. They have been, since the moment the elections were over in 2018, and the Democrats realized that they were again going to have the majority in the House, much of what they have done along the way, procedurally and rule changes, has been to set up the president to impeach him. Again, the Democrats are not truly in the slightest alarmed or even thinking about what President Trump said to Zelensky on the phone in July. They're thinking all along, how can we get this guy out? As a small aside, before I get into how the House Democrats tried to set him up, the whole argument about the Zelensky conversation with Trump in July of this year was that somehow, Trump was trying to arm twist the Ukrainians to begin an investigation again into the Burisma company, which was the energy company that Joe Biden's son was on the board of. That was what Joe Biden, when he went over to the Ukraine, and literally, if you believe the words he said on national television, committed bribery, told the Ukrainians, you're going to fire that prosecutor who is investigating Biden's son's company, or we're withholding $1 billion in aid. This is unquestioned. This is Biden on tape saying that, bragging about it. But all of that was the talk now about the impeachment inquiry is the idea that Trump somehow was wrongly arm twisting the Ukrainians to reopen the investigation. But actually, in a great development, the journalist John Solomon, who's now is joining Fox News, but he was on with Sean Hannity, said that he had discovered that the Ukrainians had actually already reopened the investigation into Burisma, the investigation that Biden forced them to shut down. They'd already reopened it in February of this year, months before Trump was on the phone with Zelensky. But getting around to how the House Democrats tried to set up President Trump, it's important to understand what they did. So the Democrats win the majority in the 2018 election. So starting January 2019, they have the majority in the House. They, even before the House got started with a new session in 2019, they changed House rules. They changed impeachment rules, they changed committee rules, and they removed the ability of House Republicans from the entire impeachment process. So when Trump is saying this isn't fair, he's exactly right. The Democrats, through rule changes, paved their way to set themselves up to be able to go after Trump, putting him in a position where he could have no due process, no ability to review witnesses, no ability to understand the charges against him, no ability to have Republicans helping him. This was the Democrats thinking they were going to corner him and the people they subpoenaed in the State Department to show up in Congress, force their testimony, force production of documents, but leaving Trump no means to defend himself, no due process rights, and leaving the Republicans in the House no ability to participate. And so This is understanding they paved the way by rule changes, and then I want to get around to what these subpoenas really are. Because there's been no House vote, a vote on the floor of the House to move toward impeaching the president, all that the Democrats are really issuing to the White House are really kind of like in civil litigation, a request for production of documents. They dance around using fuzzy language. They say they use the word subpoena, but they actually don't have the authority to issue subpoenas consistent with an impeachment process because they didn't vote for the process. They won't hold the vote. They don't want to have, there's several reasons why the Democrats don't want to hold that vote. I mentioned one already. The Democrats in the House do not want to be forced to go on record about whether or not they're supporting impeaching Trump. That is one piece of it. But the second piece of it that's really important is to recognize that if the Democrats have the actual formal impeachment vote and make a real, formal, genuine impeachment process begin, then what they're doing is subject to judicial review, is subject to having courts look at what they're doing. So they're trying to block Trump. He's got no avenue right now to appeal what they're doing because they set this kind of outside the system process, outside the impeachment system process. Trump has no way to go to court to try to argue what they're demanding. He has no right to defend himself, no right for the Republicans to participate in these impeachment hearings. The entire thing is set up to corner the president and leave him no judicial avenue out, no way out. And so, I mean, this idea, in fact, some of the language they use in this subpoena, I'll just read you some of it. They talk about, we are hereby transmitting a subpoena that compels you to produce documents but by October 18th. But it's not a subpoena that you have the authority to issue when you have judicial authority to issue a subpoena. But the House doesn't have that. And so they are trying to play games with him, trying to corner him, and using language that is trying to imply they have the right to demand to subpoena documents, but they don't. And Trump knows it. Trump's lawyer knows it. Nancy Pelosi knows it. The Democrats on the Hill know it. They all know they tried to set him up and get him to a place where he had nowhere to go. He was just going to have to comply or, as he's doing now, refusing to comply. And understand what the mission is. The Democrats want to characterize Trump's refusal to produce documents in response to this non-subpoena as obstruction that itself would justify impeachment. You have to get this. They tried impeachment with the Mueller investigation, the Trump-Russia collusion. They talked about impeachment because of Stormy Daniels. They talked about impeachment because of the Emoluments Clause. They talked about impeachment after Mueller, who found there was no Russia-Trump collusion. But they tried to talk about impeachment. Well, maybe it was then obstruction. Maybe Trump really didn't collude, but he obstructed us anyway. They're still doing that here. They're trying to put Trump in a position where they can argue, we demanded documents which we had no right to demand because we won't hold an impeachment vote, but they want to demand the documents and then characterize President Trump's refusal to cooperate, to produce those documents as itself an impeachable offense, as an obstruction of their subpoena efforts. This is, and when I say it's just important to understand this, I mean, tell you folks, the Democrats have been thinking about this a long time. They want that guy out. They do not like what he's doing. He is taking away their power. He's draining their swamp. He is reducing the size of the federal government. He's putting in place policies that are driving our economy to new strength, driving our unemployment numbers low, our job rates high. Everything is going swimmingly under President Trump's policies. The Democrats realize they're in a terrible position in 2020. They can't really run on, look how bad the economy is. Are you better off than you were 4 years ago? Because everyone's, yes, we are. They've got to try to paint a cloud of some kind of disrepute, wrongdoing onto Trump and his administration. All their efforts so far have failed. In fact, Trump's approval ratings stay very high among his own base because people realize, and more Americans are seeing it, this is nothing but a cooked up hoax of an effort by the Democrats to bring Trump down. So this whole Zelensky call, I want to make sure about the Zelensky call too. The other reason the Democrats want to get this done as fast as they can is the more attention that is paid to what Trump actually said on the phone to Ukrainian President Zelensky about Burisma, the more attention goes back to what Biden actually did when his son was on the board of Burisma, and Biden actually said to the Ukrainian president. And a couple other points that are just not going well in the Democrats' effort to get this president. Another one is that these all this conversation about whistleblowers has been really a backfiring on them. Also, it turns out that the whistleblower actually spoke with Adam Schiff beforehand, and Adam Schiff denied it. And he said, okay, yeah, actually, I did talk to him. The whistleblower's lawyer is a former Clapper lawyer. This doesn't make them look good. It makes them look like they are just, that they're just kind of all in cahoots, all in bed with him. There was also a great release of something today. Again, the Democrats' efforts to destroy this president are backfiring over and over and over. the other thing that happened, the Democrats are not excited, not happy about, is the fact that one of the FISA court judges, in fact, the Director of National Intelligence, issued a decision today in which he released 2018 FISA court, his own 2018 FISA court ruling about ongoing unauthorized database search queries by the FBI agents and contractors in 2017 and 2018. Let me remind you how this all ties into the effort of the Democrats to get Trump. The reason that one of the first things that became evident to people while they were watching the Trump-Russia ongoing stuff in Washington was that the Mueller investigation was not the beginning of the story. The Mueller investigation was the middle of the story, the FBI having to put someone in charge of this alleged conspiracy between Trump and Russia. But backing up before that, there was, under the Obama administration in 2015 and 2016, there was profound abuse of the NSA database, profound abuse of accessing private information about American citizens. And this was done under the Obama administration, finally came to the attention of the then Director of National Intelligence, Mike Rogers, who realized why are all these queries coming into the NSA database that are not related to the actual purpose of the NSA database, which is really supposed to be about foreign spies. So the queries to the NSA database were a red flag to Mike Rogers. He warned people. And then Rosemary Collyer, who was the head at the time, I think she was the head judge of the FISA court, she issued a devastating opinion saying, something really was wrong in what was happening under the Obama era FBI and DOJ pinging the NSA database, spying on Americans. And so she called that out and saying there's something really, really wrong here. This ultimately got the Democrats and the people inside the FBI to have to decide, you know what, we can't keep using this NSA stuff to spy on Trump, which is what they were doing, spying on Trump and his team and others. But they realized it wasn't flying well. So then they eventually got the Mueller investigation going. But what was released today was proof, but this is again released by the Director of National Intelligence, a 2018 FISA court ruling that memorialized, that informed everyone there was ongoing unauthorized database search queries by the FBI and FBI contractors in the period covering 2017 and 2018. So even after Trump is president, the Mueller inquiry is going on, trying to find some reason to get rid of this guy. These people inside the FBI and DOJ and contractors to whom they gave access were still using the NSA database to spy on Americans. I mean, folks, these people had just decided we are the ruling elite. We run this country. We don't follow the laws. We don't care what we are or not supposed to do in this NSA database. In fact, there was this guy who's writing this opinion piece about it was just talking about the idea of this small group activity, they were calling it, which likely is people like Fusion GPS. They kept right on pinging the NSA database, getting into private data that the NSA had collected about American citizens, much of it related to Trump and his team and his affiliates. And why that all is relevant to this discussion today is this. What has really been exposed in the time since President Trump won his election, and there's begun to be an investigation inside the FBI, inside the DOJ, of what happened in this lead up to the 2016 election, what happened inside the FBI that got them to the point they were setting up witnesses, they were lying on FBI applications for FISA warrants, applications for warrants made to the FISA court to spy on people. Those applications were made based on lies. I mean, there was to say an ongoing coup inside the FBI and DOJ, even from before the time President Trump actually won his election. And this guy's saying, yeah, and even ongoing. What you really have revealed for the American people to see is that inside the FBI and DOJ, these people under the Obama administration and the Obama holdovers who continued this conduct, These people are telling America, we are entitled to anything we want. We will get the information we want. We will look for the information we want. We will get it however we can. Nobody can stop us. We don't care if it's starting to be exposed. We don't care the American people are starting to realize what we've been up to. We don't care that Mike Rogers exposed us for tapping in the NSA database. They kept it up and kept it up and kept it up because these people think they have the right to run America, to rule this country, to ignore the vote of the people who chose President Trump, to ignore the investigation by Congress ongoing, trying to get at the root of the FBI, DOJ efforts to take out President Trump. This ruling class is even too kind of a term. It is a ruling cabal. It is a totalitarian mindset that says, we run this country, we decide who's president, we will use everything in our means, everything we have access to, legal or not, to find some way to destroy this president. And that is eventually what's going to come out, I believe, and I hope and pray, when Attorney General Barr completes his investigation into the roots of the Trump-Russia collusion hoax that led us to the Mueller investigation and that led us to where we are today. I know there was a lot of tangled pieces, and I tried to pull them all together, but the bottom line of it is, it could not be more important for Americans to understand that what Barr and Durham and the Republicans in the Senate, if they ever get their act together, and the Republicans who had the majority in the House, all of them were trying to uncover all of the various steps of wrongdoing inside the FBI and Department of Justice and probably the CIA. What they wanted to uncover was that conduct, but also the mindset, the ruling elitism of these leftists who had decided early on, we're Obama's team. We like the leftward direction of the country under him. We're on Hillary's team. We want her next. And this guy, Trump, how dare he think he can run in this election? How dare he stir up the American people to vote for him? And that is really what the Democrats, you talk about why they're so inspired to take Trump out. When we finally have an understanding of the depth of determination of the leftists in this country to eliminate Trump, which is ultimately to eliminate the power of the American people to elect their own president, the left will be in very, very big trouble. And they'd like nothing more than to get Trump out before all of this hits the fan.